the front. I feel lonely up here. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Hi. No, it's okay.
You're first.
First?
Yeah, you're first.
Okay, for what?
For the first game.
Can I be second?
You're gonna be second. I need a couple of girls for the first game. I need a couple of girls. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll see. Can you mute me? Yeah, unmute me. All right. So here is what's going to happen. Jonathan will be first for our first game. It's called 5-Second Challenge. Contestants will have 5 seconds to complete the challenge set before them. There is no try, only do. So what's going to happen is I'll have something up on the screen, and it will tell you what you have to do. And then I will say go. You have 5 seconds to do that thing. And then they will decide if you did it or not. Like, if you did it well enough. Okay? So I'm going to put it up, and then I'll give you like 0.5 seconds to think about it, and then the timer will start. But I'll let you know when it starts. So, the first thing, act like you're cleaning and you just discovered a spider. Act like you're cleaning and you just discovered a spider. Go. All right, time's up. Did he do it? Did he show that? All right. Good job, good job. You're gonna have a seat. So here's what's gonna happen. We are gonna keep track, and by we, I mean Amber is gonna keep track, because I don't have a pen, of who actually wins tonight. And then next week, I will have some prizes. I'll have like a little Plinko board that'll go, and that'll determine what their prize can be. It can be anywhere from a thumbs up to candy to a gift card or a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, things like that. So there's some like kind of lame prizes, but then there's good prizes too. So whoever actually achieves it will get that next week. All right, Eston, come on. So this one's going to involve a little talking, so you'll need the mic for this.
Okay.
All right. At least I think so. So you're going to name things that are the color. You have to name 5 things that are the color orange.
An orange. A crayon. That's it. That's all I got.
I think you failed. Did he fail? No. All right. Have a seat. Abby, come on. You're the first girl. You're scared? All right. So here is... So you have to find 5 people to give an air high five to, because you can't actually touch them. Go. Is that 5? All right. There we go. Abby. All right, Caitlin, are you next? All right. So here is your, no, that's not yours. Explain what a book is without using the word paper, ink, or pages. Go.
It's a novel that has words and it tells you about something. And it has
Did she get it? Did she get it? Does anyone think she didn't get it? I think we're going to have to give it to you. All right. Good job. That was a close one, though. All right. I need a guy. All right. Preston, come on. You're going to have to talk for this one, so get ready. Get ready. So this one, you're going to have to think about how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but you have to do it in the voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? All right, so go.
You use peanut butter and jelly. And I did it as his voice. But
Did he do that in the voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yep.
No. Sorry. All right, who's next? We have a few more. All right, Caitlin, come on. What? I don't know what's next. Come on. You don't have to talk like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I can tell you that much. All right. You have to give CPR to an inanimate object in a dramatic way. Give CPR to you can do it to the Kleenex box.
Caitlin, it's giving CPR to an object that's not real. I mean, it is real, but like...
You have 5 seconds. Go. All right, did she do it? All right, you got enough claps for that. Logan Cheesecake, come on. All right, are you ready for this? Here's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to act like a bodybuilder who is lifting and showing off at the gym. Cheesecake the bodybuilder. All right, go. He was lifting his hands and sounded like he was trying to poop. So, did he do it? Oh, you got the cheers. Good job. All right, we have two more. Who's next? All right, come on. Oh, here we go. You're gonna have to say this into the mic, so get ready. Name 5 parts of a car other than tires and steering wheel.
I don't know.
Go.
Radio, seat.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we actually, I need someone who is like super like crazy energetic for this one. Logan, you've already been. Eston, you've already been. Jonathan, you've already been. Logan, you've already been. Victoria, come on up. Give her a hand. You don't even have to talk. You don't. I know it is. All right. So what you have to do is invent a new dance move. So I'll give you like 5 seconds to think about it. Oh, you already got one? All right. Go. Did she get it? All right. There's actually one more. Come on, Margaret. All right. So this one, you're gonna pretend you're a talking tree being cut down. So you're a talking tree that's being cut down. So turn around, facing them, and go.
Oh no, I don't like being cut down. No, I'm gonna go dry now.
Yay! I love it. Every talking tree would be like, I don't want to be cut down. None of them would be like, oh, okay, cool. They'd be like, no, I don't like being cut down. That's awesome. Most of you guys did a great job. Give everyone a hand. All right, so I have one more thing before we get into the message. And I know, like, once we get into the message, a lot of times people kind of start getting tired, and I think it's because they've been sitting for too long. So I need everyone to stand up, and we're going to do a game called Which is Worse? So this is where Eston is worse. All right. So in just a moment, you'll see two options, and you'll vote for the one that you think would be worse between the two by going to that side of the room. So if you think that the one on this side is the worst, you go there. You don't go to the one that you would like better. You go to the one that you think would be the worst. So, and if you think they're both equally bad, then you can stand in the very middle of the room. But you can't stay where your seat is. You got to move around. So, which is worse? You get a new phone but can only listen to MMMBop for a year, or you get free Apple Music for life but have a cracked screen. So for those of you who are like, what in the world is MMMBop? Let's let them hear it. That's not MMMBop. Ah, there we go, there we go. All right, so if you think listening to this song for a year is the worst, go over here. Or if you think free Apple Music but a cracked screen is the worst, go over here. If you think this is the worst, I would definitely go over here, because that's like the only song for a year. Like the only song for a year, that'd be terrible. Terrible. All right. Here is the next one. Which is worse, cereal without milk or pancakes without syrup? Cereal without milk or pancakes without syrup? Or wait, no, never mind. Pancakes without syrup, cereal without milk. Pancakes without syrup. That's my vote.
I like both of them.
You like pancakes without syrup? Oh, man. All right. The next one. Writing a 5-page book report or reading the book to write about it. Which is worse? Writing the book report or reading the book to write about it? Chances are many of you who are writing the report did not read the book. That is just a guess. You like writing the book report? You guys, stand up. Stand up. You gotta move. You can't sit where you are. Come on. Get up and move. Next one. Which is worse, a hot dog with no toppings or chicken nuggets without sauce? That'd be a hot dog all day. A hot dog without toppings. Terrible. You like both of them? Then that would be the worst. If you don't like hot dogs, that would be the worst. If you are hiding by lying on the seats, get up. Get up. All right, next one, which is worse? Cold hot chocolate, which means it's not hot, but it's supposed to be hot, or warm chocolate milk? Which is worse, warm chocolate milk or cold hot chocolate? If it was supposed to be hot chocolate, but now it's cold, that would be the worst. Or if it's chocolate milk, but like warmed up, because it's supposed to be cold, but now it's hot. I know there's some confusion there, because it doesn't make sense. All right, which is worse? Getting a free high-rise apartment, but being scared of heights? Or getting a free yacht, but you get seasick all the time? I think that they're both equally bad. Although the high-rise apartment, you can, like, hide. All right. Which is worse? Only drinking flavorless LaCroix for a day or only drinking Pepsi for a week? LaCroix is like the worst thing in the world, even if it has flavor. So it barely has flavor. So it's that all day. My wife hates Pepsi, so there she is. But LaCroix is even worse. Come on. All right, a couple more. Giving a no-prep speech in front of your class or doing all the work for a group project. You do it all. No one else does anything. Which is worse? Doing all the work or doing a speech without preparing? Winging it. I bet Amber did all the work multiple times. So, there's that. All right, a couple more. Which is worse? Falling asleep in a room that is far too hot or falling asleep in a room that is far too cold? Which is worse, too hot or too cold? I would say too hot all day long. Oh, man. All right, which is worse? Waking up with no more clean underwear or waking up with no more clean shirts? Waking up with no clean underwear or waking up with no clean shirts? Which is worse? All the guys are over here, and all the girls are over there. A couple of guys over there. A couple of girls over here. All right, that's it. Everybody go have a seat. Go back to your seats. I need you guys like up and moving around, getting some energy out. So head back to your seats. So last week, as you guys are having a seat, last week we were here and we started a new series called Canceled, and it's all about, today we're in a culture where a lot of people, say, well, I don't agree with you, so I'm canceling you, I'm writing you up, I'm ignoring everything you have to say. There's a lot of that kind of thing going on. There's a lot of boycotting and things like that. If you're laying down, sit up. Because we're here, we're reading the Bible, we're talking about God, and that is like the whole point in being here. So it's disrespectful just to lay down and ignore what we're saying, because you're ignoring the Word of God. So one of the things, social media can be absolutely terrible, but it can also be extremely entertaining. So I have a few things I want to share with you about sad, but very entertaining things that older people have said on social media. There's some pictures and there's some messages that were sent. So I have a couple I want to read to you first. There's a lady who commented on Applebee's Facebook page, and she just said, "Is my nephew there? We were eating and now I can't find him. Is he still there? His name is Jason." Applebee's actually responded to her and said, "Hi, we have 1,900 plus locations. Which location did you visit?" So Applebee's is like ready to help her apparently. She responded and she said, "Thank you, Applebee. I found him. He was at Chili's." So not only did she not know where he actually was, but she decided that she was going to send a message to Applebee's. So let's see the first picture that's in there. So this one, I bet you won't share this because you're too embarrassed to have Jesus on your wall. For those of you who have any idea who that is Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars Episode 1. That is not Jesus, but there are many older people who shared it, thinking that people wouldn't share because they were embarrassed to have Jesus on their wall. That is not Jesus, that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, let's see the next one that there's a slide for. So this one, you may not be able to see it, but it says, "This poor girl was born with a terrible disease. One like equals one prayer, one share equals 10 prayers. And someone responded to the picture, "She just has a piece of ham on her face." And the person that shared it said, "Are you serious?" Said, "Yes, it's just a piece of ham with holes in it." So she thought that this was so sad and this was a terrible disease, but in reality, it was just ham. So someone else, they commented on Walmart's Facebook page, not a specific location, just Walmart in general. And if you know anything about Walmart, there's a lot of Walmarts all over the place. So she commented and said, my grandson is supposed to be having a job interview. Is he there? And someone commented and they said, hi, Phyllis, we hope that your grandson did well. And her response was, he didn't go. He was busy catching those Pokebugs on his phone. I'm very upset with him. So, yeah. Here's another one who said, someone commented, it was just like a teenager, and said, it's honestly amazing how much more I enjoy doing the dishes when I have 2 essays due on Monday. Timmy's grandmother totally burned him because she said, and if you don't do the essays, you might be able to make a career out of doing dishes. So that was total burn from grandma. That was a good one. So let's see the next one. There's one more. So here we have the Death Star, and someone shared it, and the grandma said, oh, how beautiful. That is just amazing. God at his finest. Thank you. Love you, Grandma. That is not God's creation. That is the Death Star from Star Wars. So here we have just some examples of people who don't really have a good understanding of social media and what it does, but they're trying to learn, and they're just kind of sharing. So have you ever had to help someone in your family? Maybe it's your grandparents, maybe it's your parents, or cousins or aunt or uncle or whatever. Have you ever had to help them solve a technology problem? Have any of you ever had to do that? So some of it, maybe social media, it might be how to turn on the TV. I remember when we were in Arizona, we had a couple of weeks before we brought Oliver home, and Amber's grandmother volunteered me to go to her friend's house and hook up their TV. And so I go to this person's house. I have no idea who they are, and they have a giant TV stand where the TV is in there with no room around it to even get to cables, and it was literally as wide as this stage. And they're like, yeah, we're just trying to get it hooked up to the internet. And they had nothing, and I was just supposed to try to figure this out. So they had no idea how to even get it ready for me to do it. And so that was kind of crazy, and I just had to leave saying sorry. And then her grandmother was like, well, maybe you can go back another day. And I was just no, I can't. So a lot of times we have to help older people with technology problems. My dad, he's an engineer, so he is much smarter than me in many ways. He's an electrical engineer, so whenever it comes to any electrical stuff or construction things or anything, he's a lot smarter than me, but when it comes to technology, there are some of the simplest things, even with just plugging a TV in, that he needs help with sometimes. And he doesn't understand how much better TVs are today than they were 10 years ago. My mom has had a smartphone for years, but until about 6 months ago, she didn't know what an app was. She was looking up, checking email and going to Facebook and everything through her web browser on her phone. So sometimes we need to help older people along when it comes to technology or things like that. And honestly, in a couple of years, Oliver will be 5, and he'll probably have to help me with some things too. So every day we face opportunities where there's people in small ways who have small needs that we can help them. And depending on the person, the need, or what kind of mood you're in, or how busy you might be, or how many excuses you might make, you might help them or you might not. Everyone is helpful and generous sometimes, but what about the times that we would rather not be helpful? We would rather not go out of our way or get out of our comfort zone to try to help someone. What about those times? Maybe we're just kind of making excuses, or maybe someone asks you for help and you just don't like them. So you're honestly kind of rude and you're sorry, I can't help you. When in reality, maybe you could have. So every day we're surrounded with people who need help. And some of them need just simple help, some more serious. And, unfortunately, there's also times in our lives where we need help. Maybe we need just kind of to have a conversation. We need some advice. Maybe we feel alone and we need someone to just talk to us. Maybe we need help with technology, or maybe we need help on schoolwork or anything. There's times in our lives where we will need help, but when we're in need, we're also the most vulnerable. But unfortunately, when other people are in need, we aren't always compassionate. We don't always care. We're not always concerned with the need that they have. Instead, we respond with impatience, discomfort, disgust, or suspicion. You know, there's been times where my dad has asked for help on things, and it seems like the simplest thing to me, and I get frustrated as I'm trying to explain it. But then there's a lot of times where he knows a whole lot more, and he should be very frustrated with me because I don't understand it. But, you know, the kind of world where we are willing to step out of our comfort zone and help other people and walk alongside other people is possible. And I think Jesus is challenging all of us to live the life that is helpful to people and is serving people rather than the life that is focused on ourselves and our own wants, our own desires. So in the Gospels, for those of you who may not know, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the first 4 books of the New Testament. We see a lot of stories of Jesus' life. We see a lot of his teachings, and we see stories of things that he did, people that he talked to, people that he impacted along the way. But Jesus' days were often busy, and they were interrupted by people's cries for help, like a blind man named Bartimaeus who shouted at him when he walked down the road. So we're going to look at Mark chapter 10, verse 46 through 52. It says, "Then they came to Jericho. As Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city, a blind man, Bartimaeus, was sitting by the roadside begging. When he heard that Jesus of Nazareth was there, he began to shout, 'Jesus, Son of God, have mercy on me.' Many rebuked him and told him to be quiet, but he shouted all the more, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.'" So, again, as we see at the beginning, Jesus had a ton of people walking with him. It wasn't just Jesus and a couple of friends walking. It was like Jesus, his 12 disciples, and then a ton of people following him. Probably those people were asking for help, or they were just listening. They were asking questions. Probably a lot of them were kind of nagging him. And then you have a blind man who's sitting on the side of the road alone, and he's crying out to Jesus. He's saying, "Help me, help me." And then people are basically telling him, "Shut up, you're not worthy of his help. You know, you're blind, no one cares about you." And Jesus stopped, and he said, "Call him." So they called to the blind man. They said, "Cheer up, on your feet. Jesus is calling you." And he threw his cloak aside. He jumped to his feet, and he came to Jesus. And Jesus said, "What do you want me to do for you?" So for those of you who may not realize this, Jesus didn't have to ask that question. Jesus knew everything. He knows the thoughts of all the people. He knows their needs, their desires. But still, he asked because he wanted to hear from that person, and he wanted other people to hear. So he says, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man says, "Rabbi, I want to see." And then in verse 52, Jesus says, "Go. Your faith has healed you." And immediately the blind man received his sight, and he followed Jesus along the road. So Bartimaeus, he pleaded for help. He yelled out to Jesus, but he was told, "Be quiet." The crowds couldn't be bothered. They said, "You are not important enough for Jesus to stop for you." To them, he was just another beggar, another homeless man, and he was not worthy of their help or their attention. But to Jesus, Bartimaeus was worthy of his time, his attention, and his help. So here's another example from the book of Luke. Another day, Jesus was busy again. He was on his way to save the life of a dying girl. So that's a pretty important thing. There's a girl who's dying, and he's on the way to save her. Chapter 8, verse 40 says, "Now when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him." They knew that he was coming. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading to him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. So this is this is a big deal. There's a girl that's dying, and the guy cries out to Jesus, and Jesus is coming So as Jesus was on the way, the crowds almost crushed him. So there's people all around him, probably in front of him and behind him and to the sides, that just want to be close to him, or they wanted to make sure that they were right with him, but maybe there wasn't much space along the road for them. So they're kind of crushing him. They're in there tight. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. Jesus stops and he said, "Who touched me?" When everyone denied it, because no one wanted to be like, "Oh, it was me, I bumped into you." No one wanted that responsibility. Peter said, "Master, like, the people are crowding and they're pressuring against you. Like, it's probably a lot of people that are touching you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know the power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, she came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed her. Go in peace." So at that point in time, like, women would not have been seen as important. If there was a woman who had come to Jesus and there were some men who had come to Jesus, typically people would have expected her to just be pushed to the side and the men to have priority, because that's how things were. Also at that time, she had a disorder where she was bleeding constantly. It wasn't like she had a small cut on her arm. She was bleeding all the time in multiple places. So she touched Jesus, she was healed, and Jesus said that she was worthy of his time, attention, and his help. He spoke to her. He didn't say, "Woman, what are you doing? What are you thinking?" He called her daughter, and he met her needs with love. So throughout Jesus' teachings, he gives so many examples of how he constantly cared for people who had been canceled, forgotten, that maybe had been pushed to the side because of their illness, because of their gender, because of their financial situation. But Jesus continually helped them and invested in their lives. So as we study these teachings, there's a few things that we can learn. Obviously, you're not going to see a blind person or a homeless person and say, "Hey, you're healed," because that was the power that Jesus had. But there are a lot of ways that we can help people around us, and we can make a difference in people's lives. So the first thing we need to know is it's not just about our actions. It's about our hearts. It's about our motives. Jesus doesn't challenge us to only act concerned about others or put up a front that makes it seem like we care. He challenges us to care about what we do. Jesus cares about what's happening inside our hearts and inside our minds, and when what is happening inside our hearts is right and our hearts are following Jesus, then our actions are going to do that as well. So the second thing is, it's not only about loving other people, it's about loving God. So Jesus challenged us to love others and to show his love to others, but he's letting us know that we need to follow him. When we have a love for God and we have that relationship with him that he wants to have, it is natural for us to love and care about the needs of others because our hearts and minds are on God and are on the things of God instead of on our own. Every time we care for someone who is vulnerable, that is a gift of love, and it is a way of worshiping God. The third thing that we need to know is it's not about what we have, it's about what we can give. You may be thinking, like, I can't help anyone. Maybe I'm not popular, or I don't have money, my family doesn't have money. You may be thinking about those things, but we can still invest in other people. We can still care. We can still make a difference. Jesus wasn't only talking to wealthy or important people. He was talking to ordinary people like you and me. Most of the people who wanted to follow Jesus and were walking after him and wanted to know him weren't wealthy. They weren't like prominent people in society. They were just normal, average people. And this is who he's telling to care about others and to show his love to others. No matter what we have, whether it's time, compassion, money, friendship, skills, Jesus says we can use it for God's purpose and his kingdom when we give sacrificially, passionately, and willingly. When we have that heart for change and we care about other people, we can make an amazing difference in their life. The last thing that we need to see is it's not about them, it's about us. Sometimes when we talk about meeting others' needs, we talk as though that we are the people with all the power or the resources. It's like there's us and them, but that's not really the case. We're not a separate group of people. When we think this way, it's easy to see someone as if they're less valuable than we are, and that we might be lifting ourselves up by helping them. But if you remember the way that Jesus spoke to the blind man and the woman, he called her daughter. He called them things like friend and brother and daughter, and that was the way that Jesus, the Son of God, was talking to them as if they were on the same level as each other. So when we help each other, we need to not see them as like a charity case or as someone below us that we're trying to help and lift up. It's like they are equal to us, but they just have a need, and we need to have compassion on them. Jesus didn't just give people charity, he gave people respect, and we can do that too when we remember that it's not all about us. So, how do you do this? How can we care for people around us when they're in need? You know, we automatically kind of go to the idea of money. Well, we can just give money to someone in need, which like sometimes that helps, but that's not the only way that we can help other people. There's so many opportunities around us because there's so many needs if we're paying attention. If you're not paying attention and you're kind of living in your own bubble and you're only looking straight ahead at your own friends and your own needs and your desires, you're not going to notice the needs around you. But if we're paying attention, just like Jesus noticed the needs of Bartimaeus and the sick woman, what would it look like for you to notice a need and to respond in love? I want to show a video to you guys that went viral a few years ago, but you may or may not have seen it, and even if you have, I want to remind you of it. Check it out.
These two students are showing how kindness can go a very long way.
The best day of my entire life was basically.
That is Michael Todd, a freshman at MLK Prep in Memphis, Tennessee. The two seen here, Christopher Graham and Antoine Garrett, made Todd's day.
Michael was getting made fun of for 3 straight weeks at his new school.
I've been bullied my entire life.
He would wear the same clothes every day, and students at MLK Prep would mock him for it.
That's right, bullied for wearing the same clothes to school each day. Seen in this video, Graham and Garrett gave him a quantitative gift. Shoes, shirts, and much more. He wasn't smiling or anything, and I was like, I think this is going to make you smile. We're in the same third period, and I apologize for laughing at you, and I want to give you something to make it up, Graham said. According to WPXI, people from states away have seen the video and want to send Todd clothes.
So this kid, he was bullied, he was basically canceled, written off. People made fun of him because he wore the same clothes every day. They didn't think about the fact that maybe he doesn't want to wear the same clothes every day, but that's just what he has. They wrote him off. They bullied him. They made fun of him, not for anything that he did, not for anything that was, outside his own ability. And there were two people who recognized how they were bullying him, how they were making jokes about him, how they were laughing at him, and they recognized that he was actually in need. And they said, hey, instead of making fun of him, instead of tearing him down and seeing him as less of a person, we're going to get our money together and help him out. We're going to buy him some clothes and shoes where he doesn't have to be wearing the same thing every day. And this is, may seem like not a big deal because most of us, at some point in our life get new shoes or new clothes. But for him, this was the best day of his life because there were people in his school who no longer made fun of him. They said, instead of tearing him down, we want to help him and lift him up. Instead of spending money on themselves, they spent it on him. And not only did they give him clothes, that's not the only thing they gave. They gave respect, compassion, and kindness. And more than likely, they had to sacrifice something in order to meet that. There was something that they wanted that they ended up not having. And they were able to help him and make a difference in his life. So the biggest thing that we see from Jesus and the biggest thing we see from them is, again, that they gave respect, compassion, kindness. They saw him as an equal. They saw him not as someone who is different or they wanted to tear down. They saw him as an equal. They found a way to use what they had to meet someone else's need. And I want you to think about how you might be able to do the same thing. Maybe you give a meal to someone who needs it. Obviously, that's kind of like awkward now at school because you're not supposed to like touch any of the same things. But maybe you give a meal to someone who needs it. Maybe you share a meal with someone who's lonely. Maybe you stay after school to help someone study. Maybe there's someone that you see who's all alone, and it's like no one ever talks to them, at least in a positive way, and maybe you talk with them. Maybe you show them that, hey, they are a person and their life has meaning. In Jesus' time, people were often canceled by society instead of helped. They were ignored, judged, or left to fend for themselves. And we still have that problem today. But if we want to be like Jesus, if we want to make a difference in this world and do what he has instructed us to do in showing his love to people, then we need to love people who are in need. And not only doing that for ourselves, to lift ourselves up, but do it for the needs of others and to let them know that their life has meaning. So let me pray for us, and then we'll head to small groups. And as you're there, really kind of talk through some of this. Think about some real life application on things that you can do to help others and care for other people that you may know. Let's pray. Dear God, I thank you so much for this night. I thank you for your word. I thank you for the example that Jesus shows in the ways that he showed love for other people and gave their lives meaning, and how he showed that everyone is important, whether our culture believes that or not. Everyone matters. So we got to pray as we go to small groups that we'll have just some good discussion about all this, and that we'll really leave knowing what we can do in our lives to make the world a better place. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, middle school girls, head out. Middle school boys, you can follow. Then high school girls and high school boys. There it is. There was last week too, Jonathan.